So let's waste no time and introduce you to the panel that we've got here, where we're talking very much about Shropshire's market town. So in fact, we've got covered here, we've got Wellington, we've got Bridgnorth, we've got Oswestry, we've got Ludlow. So just introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about you.
Yes, my name's Sally Themans. I run Love Wellington and Love Bridgnorth.
And I'm Adele Nightingale. I'm the bid manager for Oswestry.
And I'm Lucy Cook and I run Let's Go Ludlow.
So we've got a fair geographical area of the county
Yeah.
covered. Bid manager, that's where I think we ought to start, because Oswestry and Shrewsbury, I mean,
Yes.
we may be joined by Seb a bit later on from Shrewsbury bid, are the only two areas in Shropshire that are bids, aren't they? Business improvement districts.
Yes.
What does that mean and what difference does it make to a town?
So we've been in Oswestry now. We've just been voted back into our second term. So from April we start a 5-year term again. So that was great news to get voted back in.
Voted by the businesses?
Voted by the businesses. So the businesses that are mandated to pay the bid levy, they get to choose whether they want us again. So hopefully that's a sign we did a good job the first term, because they want us for another term. So our role is really to support the businesses, to look at ways of increasing footfall into the town, to promote Oswestry beyond Oswestry, so to further afield Shropshire and nationally, to encourage visitors and also inward investment. Part of our role that perhaps doesn't get noticed so much is the support that we do with regards to lobbying to Shropshire Council. So we work very closely with Oswestry Town Council and Shropshire Council on a number of projects, and that can be things from traffic management to organising events, which really then gives the voice to the businesses, and we can report back to the businesses. So we are taken quite seriously by both councils because we represent 320 businesses.
So it's one powerful voice as
Yes.
opposed to lots of
Yes,
different voices,
exactly.
maybe all saying the same thing but at different times, different
Exactly.
ways then, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how's it funded then? Because the businesses pay, like, is it like a contribution, a levy? How does
Yeah, so each bid has a different way a different amount. So ours is 1.75% of the rateable value of a property if it's £12,000 or over within our bid area. If it's under £12,000, they can still join as a voluntary member, and we have around 30 voluntary members, which again is a really good sign for us that they see value in what we do because they opt in to join. So we raise around about £270,000, £280,000 a year. Obviously myself and Lindsay are employed by the bid, and we have a board of directors which are all volunteers, and they're all taken from businesses within the bid area, and we try to have a diverse sector, so each sector has
Everyone's
a voice.
got a voice,
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah, that's important, isn't
yes,
it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
And Sally, this is something you're looking at going down the same road with Bridgnorth. isn't
Very
it?
much so. You know, we've seen the success of Shrewsbury BID and Oswestry BID, and you know it's been great to get to know Seb and Adele and the other town champions, because we have a great sharing of ideas and seeing what the bid has been able to achieve. One of the things particularly has been this lobbying. You know, Adele has secured some pretty significant funding from English Heritage.
Yes.
And being this voice and being heard. You know, in Bridgnorth, for instance, you know, we always feel that we never get heard, and Shrewsbury and Oswestry do. So if we had a more powerful voice, and the bid kind of almost sort of acts as that conduit between the businesses and the local authority, then we just feel that we'd achieve far more, we'd be able to secure more grant funding, more investment, and really put the work that's been going on in a very micro scale with Love Bridgnorth, put it onto a slightly more professional footing, and sort of emulate what's happened in Oswestry.
What's the process then for that?
Well, it's quite a long drawn out process, and it's got to be, because you're asking businesses to part with money, so they've got to be really sure that there is going to be some tangible benefit to them. So we've been very lucky. We have turned this around very quickly, a grant application into Shropshire Council for as part of their levelling up funding. And that's come through, that's £30,000 to do the feasibility and create the business plan for a Bridgnorth bid. So it's not money that will be spent improving businesses immediately. It's actually going through the process properly and the setup phase properly. So I've really been listening to Adele and Seb about how it all works. And in fact, Adele is very kindly going to come and help the Bridgnorth working group appoint a specialist bid expert to come and help us with that.
And Lucy, one of the things I hadn't quite realised until a couple of weeks ago, just how much the various town champions in Shropshire get together, meet up, talk, share ideas. That's really valuable, isn't it? You know,
Oh, it's brilliant, yeah. So this was an initiative that started after COVID because even during then we needed each other's help and support, and Sally put us in Ludlow onto a grant that we applied for successfully, and we share ideas and meet monthly, and support is really key as well, as in what's happening at the moment.
And how much of are you finding that the issues you've all got in your own towns are very similar? You know, is there, how much overlap is there? You know, very different geographically, different makeup of traders, but I guess the talking points are just the same, aren't they?
Yes, it is, and actually the key is money. It's having the support and the money to do the marketing and the promotion and all these schemes, because there are fantastic voluntary groups that do things within the towns, but there's a limit, there's a real limitation if you don't have a budget or you're relying on people who are volunteers. And certainly in a town like Ludlow, we're run by an amazing army of volunteers.
What are the big priorities down in Ludlow at the moment? What are the big issues, or have you got a shopping list of things that you'd like to see happen this year maybe?
I think promotion nationally is a really key thing. I think getting more foot traffic in is a real key, and we've got Visit Shropshire as a vehicle to help us with that. I think if you ask the businesses, they've got a very, very long list. You know, cost of living, rising electricity, business rates. You know, everyone needs support, business support, promotional support. The list goes on.
I guess though, talking about national profile, some of the other towns in Shropshire would love the profile Ludlow's got.
Yes, we would.
Say, where are you going to? You're going to Shropshire. They'll like to say,
Oh, Ludlow,
Ludlow.
yeah.
You see, we all think everyone's going to Iron Bridge.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
they're going there too.
grass is always green. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, of course, what you really want to do is just keep the Shropshire pound in Shropshire and share it around among visitors that come in. I know we've got
Absolutely.
Ed coming up later on from Visit Shropshire to talk about the tourism side of it, but how important is tourism in somewhere like Oswestry then?
So we have actually quite a vibrant tourism economy in Oswestry, more than I think a lot of the businesses realise, because we've got a lot of interesting places to come and visit, so people can stay in Oswestry and use it as a base to then go and visit other places. So for our independent shops and our hospitality sector, it is actually quite an important part of their annual turnover. So we work very closely with Oswestry Borderland Tourism and with Visit Shropshire to make sure that we are promoting to that side of our economy as well. So our locals are really supportive of our town, but obviously that is also a very important part as well. And we installed footfall cameras, footfall counting a number of years ago, so we're really starting to get some baseline information now about what our footfall is, and we can now start to see what events, how that affects our
That
footfall.
really helps, I guess, having that
Yes.
information rather than not having the information. You
Yes.
can work out when is the best time maybe to put on events or to
Yes.
do certain things.
It is really useful. It is now. I mean, obviously, once you first start and you've got no baseline.
You've got to build the data, I guess.
And of course, it
Yeah.
went live during COVID, which didn't help.
Yeah.
But we are now starting to have that baseline information. So we are now able to look at comparisons year on year. And that also impacts when we've got people that are looking to invest in the town or looking at properties. They're interested in what the footfall is for that particular area of town. So actually having that data is really useful when we are trying to attract inward investment.
Has any of that data surprised you?
Yes, some of it has, because sometimes you'll see a real surge in footfall and you can't explain it. You'll just have a Saturday that for some reason, and you can't attribute it to the weather or any events going on. So really sometimes it's just because. So yeah, it does sometimes surprise you.
It's really interesting, isn't
Yes.
it, that? What about you, Sally, for footfall in Bridgnorth? Where are people coming from? Is it locals coming into the town centre or, again, visitors?
Well, depends what day of the week we're talking about.
Yeah.
On a Saturday, there's no one from Bridgnorth in Bridgnorth. Very much fed. And this is where Bridgnorth is quite different from the rest of Shropshire. We are very much fed by the Black Country. it is a long time favoured destination for a Saturday to come over to the market. In Wellington, what we're really trying to do is work on getting Wellington people coming back into Wellington rather than coming to Shrewsbury.
Yes.
Sorry, Seb.
Yeah.
And kind of rediscovering Wellington a bit. Back to Bridgnorth, during Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's full of Bridgnorth people.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very different dynamic at the weekends.
Wellington is becoming quite a foodie destination at the
Yeah,
moment. I was at the
hope so.
Walnuts with Kirsty
That's
Smallman
lovely.
from JMPR
Yeah.
the other week, and we had an amazing meal. But there's
Yeah.
lots of other places as well.
Loads. Really trying to brand it. That's one of the things I'm doing with
Yeah.
Love Wellington is a Love Wellington Foodies brand. So we've got places like the Walnut and the Gratitude, and one of the big things that we've got is inside the market. Quite similar to Shrewsbury Market, we've now got a food court with loads of street food, Park Street Kitchen, Escape the Robot. We've got sourdough pizzas, and they also are having late night openings, which
They've been
are
super successful, haven't they?
super successful.
Yeah, really.
So
It strikes me that it's all about trying to offer something that you can't get on an out-of-town retail park, that you can't
Yeah.
get on a website.
Yeah.
It's attractions, whether it's festivals, theme things. We're talking of Wellington. I've got to know the guys at the Orbit Cinema.
Yeah.
And some of it, that's become a very community venue. It's more than just showing films. Ludlow's Assembly Room was very much the same
Yeah.
down there the other week, and what they've done there, making it meeting hubs and different kinds of
It's very much
of
about
activity.
an experience now.
Yes.
Yeah.
The high street has changed forever,
Yeah.
and not just in Shropshire, across
Everywhere.
the country.
Yeah.
And so now people want to come into town for an experience, to meet up with friends or to go and see something different, to go to an indie shop because it's a little bit
Yeah.
different. So what we have to do now is adapt and play to those strengths within our market towns. We in Oswestry, I think we've got quite a vibrant live music scene of a night time. So a lot of our local pubs have always got live music on, and we've got a really good events programme throughout the year. So that's giving people a reason to come into town, and then you hope whilst they're in town, they will visit the businesses and
Yes.
spend a little bit of money, and that's the way that we're going to have to move forward.
In Ludlow, you've got some major events coming up. You've got
We've got
Bastille,
such
Rag
an
and
exciting,
Bowman,
we've got
Noel
such
Rogers.
an exciting. We are awash with
You
festivals
really
and
are
concerts.
at
It's
the moment.
amazing.
Celebrities.
Yeah.
They're all
We
coming,
have.
aren't
We've
they?
got
This
so
year.
we've got Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench coming. We've
Wow.
got a real host of celebrities coming, starting in April with the English Song Festival, and we've got Alistair McGowan, who's a new resident to Ludlow, has launched the Ludlow Piano Festival. We've got Judge Rob Rinder, judging a whole host of celebrities, all playing the piano. Oh, actually, he's not judging. He's doing a panel of questions. And then we've got these amazing, a whole weekend, a whole 4 days of Kaiser Chiefs, Bastille, an amazing lineup. And then the Food Festival and the Spring Festival on top of it, and the Fringe at the end. So
Where are all your visitors going to stay overnight then?
there's plenty in Ludlow. We've got an amazing range of accommodation and B&Bs, and I think that's not the issue. I think parking might be, but it's very well spread out from April through to September. So,
I guess with the car-related issues are a big thing, aren't they? So when we talk, if Teb's had been here today, we'd be talking about accessibility in Shrewsbury. But can you easily get into town? Can you park your car for free? Are there electric vehicle charging points? There's lots of transport-related issues, aren't there? I mean, what's the situation in Ludlow like? I mean, parking's always been a key thing in the
it
town,
is, and the
isn't it?
rates have just gone up, which I know has sort of, upset a few of the business owners. And the charging points, we don't have many in Ludlow, but we're about to get a flurry of more. But they're in the main residential and the main streets, so that's caused a little bit of controversy, although we obviously need them. Bus routes aren't great in and out of Ludlow. But there is parking in Ludlow, and there are quite a lot of, but like Saturday weekends is locals stay here.
I mean,
away
I
from.
would just, plug for Wellington. It's free parking.
It is, absolutely.
Free parking there, limited to 3 hours, and there is a train station right in the middle. But no parking. These are old market towns
Yes.
that we're all sort of and you know, they were invented long before vehicles ever were. So it's always going to be an ongoing issue. And as Lucy touched on, you know, the bus services, the public transport isn't really man enough to do the job if we want to get these people into our towns.
You all shook your head in complete synchronisation when we said, public transport bus routes
Yeah.
not great, and you're rolling your eyes. Is that?
It is an issue for market towns, you know, because obviously accessibility and using cars and certainly reaching the hinterlands and the villages that surround our towns. We obviously are involved with work that Shropshire Council are doing with regards to public transport. From April last year through to December, the BID ran a night bus on Friday nights and Saturday nights to try to help with getting people and staff actually into and out of town on a Friday night and Saturday night to help our nighttime economy. But it's definitely an area that we need to work with local authority to improve, absolutely, across the whole county.
Things like that as well. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you have to keep it going for a certain amount of time for awareness to get there, to prove whether there's a demand. You can't just try it for a couple of months and say, no, nobody wants it. It doesn't work like that.
So it definitely is something that we will all be kind of speaking to a local authority about trying to improve. And I know that Shropshire Council are constantly looking for funding to try to improve the public transport.
That Telford and Wigan Council obviously at the moment are launching new bus services that will connect the northern villages of Telford, Wellington as well. So that's quite a big thing, I guess.
Yes, I mean, you know, incredible to have a local authority paying for a bus service. It feels like back to the 70s, doesn't it? But it seems to be working, seems to be a good take-up, very positively received.
What are you hearing from some of the traders then in your towns about the pressures at the moment with energy bills, business rates, overheads in general? I mean, what's the word on the street at the moment? How serious is it?
It's tight. It's really tough out there for a lot of the businesses. I think that sometimes the media doesn't help because then it frightens consumers. And so what happens is it then becomes a bit perpetuating. But certainly business rates, rents and utility bills are really the worry at the moment. There is business rates relief, which has been announced and is ongoing through the next year. So that will give some help to the smaller businesses. But it's going to be a tough year, I think. But on the flip side of that, what we would ask everybody to do is to try to, you know, shop local where they can. It's very easy to go online, but that, you know, if you want your towns to survive and you want your shops and your hospitality sector to survive, you've got to go and spend some money in them. And it's, you know, it's trying to find the balance. Everybody has to shop online occasionally, we know that. But if you can shop in line, please do so.
I know something Wellington's been doing is the cargo bikes as well to encourage people to shop locally.
Yeah, the e-cargo bikes. I mean, that's an incredible initiative set up by Shropshire Cycle Hub. And we've got a team of early retiree, they are all men actually, who've sort of come forward to do this. And what they're doing is they are present in the market on a Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and they've got a couple of e-cargo bikes loaned by the Cycle Hub, and they will take your shopping home. So the whole point of that is to try and encourage people to walk into town, not to have to bring their cars, and they will take your shopping home for you. It's not a shopping service, so people are still coming and shopping and browsing, but then they don't have to carry their heavy bags. And we all know that, you know, that's going to be a limiting factor for a lot of people. I can't carry that home. You know, we have got one of the big car parks in town is closed at the moment, so it's there just at the right time. One of the problems is the volunteers are amazing. They're so willing and able, and they just want more business. They've got more and more volunteers. So actually, I'm going to a meeting now to work out with them. You know, how can they get people using this valuable service? Because if people don't use it, it won't last. But I mean, it's got to be the way ahead, hasn't it? I think for all our towns.
No, we have got the cargo bikes, but those poor guys. I mean, we're very hilly.
Are they not electric? They're not. Ours are electric.
They could be, but it's still quite a pedal up and down. Yeah,
But
no,
this is why our champions meetings, which we have regularly, we mentioned earlier, are really great, because something that Sally might be trying, or Lucy or Seb, and then I might say, well, how's that working in your
Yeah.
town? And we can learn from each other and adapt ideas. Not all of our towns are exactly the same, but we do face a lot of the same challenges, and some of the ideas that we've shared, and then we've taken them into our own towns, have been really good, and that's why the meetings have been so helpful.
Because it could just be a throwaway comment
Yeah,
that
it
you
could.
might make, Lucy, and then
Yeah.
you'll think, oh, hang on a minute,
Yeah, I thought
and
about
you've just
that.
picked
Yeah.
up on that.
Exactly.
yeah, it's just
And-
keeping an ear to
And
ground.
when you're struggling for ideas, I was really wanting to run a Valentine's promotion in Wellington, and it was kind of pre-Christmas, brain was foggy. So I just put on, we have a WhatsApp chat. Anyone got any good ideas for Valentine's? And it was great. Loads of ideas
Then you did all
came
the
in.
work and we jumped on the bandwagon. That's a good
But, you know, that was great. We're not competing with each other.
Not at all.
But also, there's
yeah.
at the moment the issue is that what we do know about Shropshire is that most visitors are day visitors. They don't stay for long, and so this is where we can all get together and put together a campaign to encourage visitors to stay longer. What can you do in 3 days? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Do you also do that within your own town so that traders are cross-promoting supplementary services that a shop 2 doors down will be able to offer? So you can say, look, you can come to town here, you can get everything without needing to go anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's getting the businesses. We have a directory on Let's Go Ludlow, business directory. So we're always sharing information with them and asking them to give us feedback on.
I think during COVID as well, a lot of our businesses diversified and supported each
Yeah.
other with deliveries
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
putting things together, and then obviously recognised that gave them a revenue stream that actually they can continue with. So we have actually seen some of those activities continue. So it was really, what was really impressive about the businesses in Oswestry, and I'm sure in your towns too, were how they worked together during COVID and how those links that they made during COVID have actually continued.
And it's helped hugely because the businesses that did pivot and did help their local, because Ludlow, there's a myth that Ludlow is a tourist town, but it isn't. It's very much a working town, and they did. Everyone was well catered for in terms of deliveries and food and takeaways, and we had this amazing charity that was formed, Ludlow Together, to help anyone get their medicines and their. But it's the information sharing is key, definitely.
How's the markets doing? Because I went everywhere last night on my way home to try and get some peppers. Can't get any fresh vegetables anywhere at the moment. I've been rationed.
Oh, I know.
Shelves are empty. Market traders still teeming with produce.
Well, this time of year it's a bit quiet on the markets because it's cold and wet out there. So hopefully, that will sort itself out when spring comes and everyone's
Wellington
back.
market is being showered with awards and all sorts of things at the moment. Isn't it? So, well, Wellington.
In general, yeah.
No,
Bridgnorth, isn't it?
Bridgnorth.
Not Wellington.
You've got so many award
So many awards,
You've got so many awards, Sally. It's easy to
stacking them up now.
I was just thinking, Wellington Market was in the running. It was in the top
That's right.
30 for Wellington Market, which actually Shrewsbury Market won.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Well
so
done,
that's
Deb.
fine. We
Brilliant.
kept,
Yeah.
we kept it in
Yeah.
Shropshire.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's fabulous. Yes, Bridgnorth is a shortlisted finalist for Rising Star in the Visa Towns Together competition. And if we win, again, that's putting Shropshire on the map, which is great. And it's actually the second time we've been in that forum, because we did win the Great British High Street Large Market Town in 2016, and Visa sponsored that. So, and I noticed it's Hebden Bridge. We always seem to be up against Hebden Bridge, Bridgnorth and Hebden Bridge. Got a lovely awards thing in London
Yes.
next
Yeah,
Wednesday.
we're going to
Yeah.
cheer her
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
So,
What do winning awards like that do, for a town, for a business, for a county? Because it just makes you walk a bit proud of it too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what? And the community really, really gets behind it, because everyone wants to feel good about where they live, don't they? And when a third party comes and validates that by saying, yeah, you're an award finalist, everyone kind of walks a bit taller, as you say, and thinks, yeah, it's quite a good place. It's a nice place. So whether we win or not, it doesn't really matter. It's lovely to be shortlisted, and I think what that does for community spirit, it's a hackneyed old phrase, but it's still a good phrase, and it's still valid. I think they're good for that purpose. So.
So from an Oswestry BID point of view then, Adele, what's next on the
On the-
agenda?
on
What's
the
the big
agenda.
priorities for this year?
So big priorities this year. We've had some meetings with the PCC. Unfortunately, we are experiencing some antisocial behaviour, shoplifting, and again, we think that this is because of the climate that we're in. So we know that the street rangers that are running in Shrewsbury have been a really successful project. So we are looking at if that's something we can bring to Oswestry. We would need some money from Mr Campion, so we have been speaking to them to see if there's any funding available. We currently run security patrols on the industrial estate, and we're looking to do those in our town centre as well. And we have a shop watch meeting now, and that's been really well received by the businesses, and we work with the police very closely on all of those projects as well. So those are big projects for us. Ongoing, we're just about to put out our training programme for the year. So we usually have quite a full training programme. So we do first aid training, defibrillator training, social media for small businesses, customer service. And they are free to all of our BID businesses, 2 members of staff to any of the training, and that always goes really well. And then, of course, as you were mentioning, we've got our events. So we've got a street circus at Easter, and we've got our beach in May, and then we've got Oswestry Balloon Carnival. So obviously that takes quite a little bit of time. So yeah, we've got quite a full year ahead.
And you've just got the great and the good of Motown and Hollywood coming to town.
We've just got all the famous faces.
Superstars.
Yeah.
Well, what about Let's Go Ludlow? What are the sort of big agendas from that point of view this year, and what are you looking to do?
I think so. We took off after COVID because we started providing this takeaway delivery service, and so now we feel the best way to use the platform is to promote local businesses. So that's where we're heading now, is recruiting, getting businesses to join the directory and just promoting them to locals and to visitors. And we're putting together a VIP, a pass system, and that's where we're going with that at the moment.
It's the way, isn't it? I mean, Sally, you've got various initiatives, haven't you, in wearing your hats, which are using technology to connect businesses and let people know how easy it is to do business in your market town.
Yeah, I mean, we have got to move with the times, as Adele said. Everything has changed. This lack. I always say high streets are now a place of interaction rather than transaction. So we've got that happening, and then this technology. So in Bridgnorth, we've got Shop Happy, the Shop Happy platform, which was made possible by a COVID recovery grant by Shropshire Council. And that has all the businesses in one place with one checkout. I think we've got over 1,000 products on there. We've got 85 businesses on there and something like 17,000 page hits. So although there might not be a huge amount of purchasing going through it, people are using it as a way to browse the local high street. So that's been quite an interesting way to use technology. And the other way, and I'm sure you guys do it as well, we have all the businesses connected in WhatsApp groups now. And that's been, it's such a simple thing, but actually suddenly they can talk to each other, they support each other, they share ideas the way that we do. That's an easy win.
It's one of those things that you sort of almost assume happens anyway,
I
and
know,
then you discover
but they
it
weren't.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, good luck with all your initiatives, awards,
Thank
celebrities, everything. It's quite obvious that shop local's the message, because there's
Yes.
loads of
Absolutely.
stuff
100%.
there. So thank you all for coming in. We'll
Thank
grab
you for
some
having
next
us.
time,
Yeah.
won't we?
Yeah.
Lots more to come here on Shropshire Business Live TV. We're live from the Wellington studios in Shrewsbury. We've got a massive green room lined up to talk to, so we'll take a quick break. Back in a minute.